You're supposed to hide yourself. This is Florida. They're drunk. This is a volatile relationship. They've both been arrested for domestic violence before. She thinks he's cheated on her. She claims he's choked her. And what happens is somehow she convinces him or he gets into the suitcase. But the reality is the truth we find out is on her iPhone. And the damning evidence, I think, that's going to really help the prosecution in this case is that in that video, she's telling him, this is what you get. That's on you. And then she goes one further when she's, okay, fine. If she was drunk that night and it's involuntary manslaughter because it's a drunk situation, I think that it can no longer be that, because the next day when she sobers up and is talking to the police, she explains to them that she wanted to let him stay in there at least 5 minutes to punish him. And I think that damning bit of evidence, when she sobers up and still admits that this was to hurt him, this was to punish him, is going to be really difficult for her to overcome in trial. Do I think it's first or second degree murder? That's an interesting question for maybe Neama. But I do think that she's in a big, she's getting big trouble for those videos. And just claiming that she's drunk and didn't know what happened in that ridiculous Florida night isn't going to be enough. It's not going to cut it for her.
Yeah. And I love Florida. It is a great, great state. Love to visit there, would love to live there. But things just happen down there. I just know that from being here at Court TV all these years. Neama, there's a lot of things a prosecutor has to do, but they also have to tell a story to the jury that makes sense. And I'm trying to make sense, because I think it happened, right? I would think there's forensic evidence that can place him inside that suitcase. But how do you explain that to the jury?
Yeah, I mean, Jorge was either tricked into getting into that suitcase or he was drugged and put in the suitcase. It's one of those two things, because he was clearly speaking. I mean, you look and you can listen to those iPhone videos and the recordings, and he's clearly begging to be let out, not just once, in those two videos. So it's horrifying to see him, whether it's a trick or a drug situation, to find himself in that situation with his girlfriend, letting him suffer there. And this wasn't 5 minutes. I know she said 5 minutes, but this is another damning piece of it. He was in there 12 hours. And what does she do when she wakes up after those 12 hours? She doesn't call the police. 2 hours later, she calls her ex-husband, who comes over, and then they call the police. So it's 14 hours poor Jorge was in there, and who knows how long he suffered before he died.
Yeah, Holly, that's the other part of this. This is not... this is like torture in a certain respect. When you look at if you follow through and you believe the prosecution's story here, she's torturing this man.
She's got rage. I mean, she's definitely got rage. It's a clear pattern in history between the two of them. She's got rage. And whether or not it was hide and seek, I think we're focusing on that game. I think maybe there was a joke and he's like, oh, look, let's get into the suitcase. But then she takes her opportunity. She locks him up. She videotapes it twice. And she passes out until 11 a.m. the next day. So in the moment where she was drunk enough while this was occurring to have a choice to get him out, she chose not to. And I think it has to do with her underlying rage. And her intoxication played a big part in it. I do think she might have forgotten at some point if she was that intoxicated. I don't think there's a drug situation where she purposefully drugged him and put him in there. I think the toxicology would have revealed that. And I think we only saw alcohol in both of their systems. So I think this is what happens in a moment when you're filled with rage, you're intoxicated, and you could help a person or you could hurt them. And this woman chose to hurt him.